So in this video, we're going to be doing couching as a filling stitch. So if you haven't already, have a look at the couching outline tutorial that I did. I do recommend watching that first before you get into doing it as a filling stitch. But it's very similar to what I was doing in that video. So I'm going to just come up with my 6 strands on the outline of this circle here. And then I'm going to come in with my 1 strand of stranded cotton that I'm couching down with. So this is the thread that's going to be couched down, and this is the thread that we're couching that down with. So starting off as I would normally, if I'm using it as an outline stitch, and just filling, going around this line here, up on one side, down on the other. And you want to try and keep your spacing somewhat even and neat. And as I said in the other video as well, you can use the same color thread for both the couching thread and the one that's couched down. I'm just showing you with kind of contrasting colors here so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Now I'm going around a circle here, but this would work just as well in any shape really, going around a square or anything like that. Now, as I get back around to where I started, if I was doing the outline, I would just meet up with where I started, that's 6 strands of thread. But because I want to fill this space, I'm going to go just inside of it so that we're creating almost a spiral of thread here. So I'm just going to put that last couching stitch on that outline, and then we're going to work this in a kind of brick pattern. So you don't want all of your couching stitches to be at the same point, because then your piece will start to look a bit stripy. So we're going to come between those 2 stitches in the previous line. Okay. And again, just down on the other side. So we're getting that thread this next round that we're doing to sit nice and close to the first round so that there's no gaps. You can't see any of the fabric showing through between those lines. And again, it doesn't really matter which side you come up and which side you go down, as long as you're up on one side and down on the other. So I could lay the thread down there and come up. Oops. Come up and go back down in there. Okay, so it's really up to you, whatever suits you best. You can come up and go back down. But we're just continuing with this all the way around until we fill up this circle, really. Now I'm starting to run out of thread here, so I'm just going to finish off after this stitch. So I'm just going to do some stab stitches here to secure that thread. If you're unsure what those stab stitches are about, there is another video on them, so you can check that out. Now to do 3 just to be sure, and then cut that piece off and come in with a new piece of thread. So coming in with that new piece of thread, you're just picking up where you left off. So I'm coming up there and down on the other side and just back to stitching as normal. Now we're almost finished this second round here. Same as before, I'm just going in between the stitches in the previous row, the previous round. And just continue on. So I'm just going to continue on with this here, and I'll come back when I have a bit more of it done, so you really get to see the effect that it gives. But there's no need for you to be watching me do the whole lot, so just give me a sec. So as your circle gets smaller, of course your stitches start to look a lot closer together. So if you feel you need to maybe skip the odd stitch or do every second stitch, that's absolutely fine as well. Don't be too rigid about the brickwork pattern. You don't want your couching stitches to look like the only stitches there, so you can always just skip ahead. You don't have to go exactly halfway between each stitch in the previous row. Now I'm just about at the end here, so after that last couching stitch, I'm just going to put the 6 strands back through in the center of the circle there, so back through the fabric. I don't want to pull too tight because I might dislodge those last few couching stitches, so just pull it to the back of the fabric and finish off however you normally do, either with your stab stitches or with your knot on the back or whatever way you like to do it. But that is couching as a filling stitch. So as I said, if you use the same shade of threads for both of those, it will look a lot more cohesive and blended in together. But obviously I just wanted to show you exactly where my stitches were going and everything. But yeah, if you have any questions on couching, feel free to comment or send me a message or whatever you like. But hopefully you get on all right with your couching, and happy stitching.